When you think about it, every great company out there started with just two things: a really cool idea and somebody who believed in it enough to write the first check. Today, we're going to break down that second part. This is the founder's journey, and we're going to lay out the entire roadmap, showing you exactly how to get from that initial spark to a fully funded business. So you have it, that big idea, the one that could really shake things up. But here's the thing, an idea on its own is, well, just an idea. Making it happen is everything. And making it happen costs money. Which brings us to the one question that keeps every single founder awake at night. How in the world do you fund your dream? Now, you might think getting a startup funded is just this chaotic, messy scramble for cash, but it's really not. There's actually a surprisingly clear path, a life cycle that we can literally map out. And once you understand that map, you can navigate the whole journey with a lot more confidence. Okay, take a look at this. This graph basically tells the story of every startup ever. That solid red line shooting upwards, that's the dream, right? Sales taking off like a rocket. But that dashed blue line, that's the reality. That's your cash flow. See how it just dives deep into the negative right at the start? That's you spending money before you're making any. It's totally normal, but it's also where most companies hit a wall. And they call this the valley of death for a very good reason. I mean, you're burning through cash on developers, on marketing, everything, all while your sales are maybe just a little trickle. So the real takeaway here isn't just that you need funding, it's that you need the right amount of funding to build a solid bridge across this valley and get to the other side where you're actually profitable. All right, so you need to build that bridge. Who are the partners that are going to help you do it? Well, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. The right investor for you really depends on where you are in your journey. So let's take a look at the different players in this funding game. Think of this chart as your playbook. It's your field guide to the entire funding universe. It's basically a timeline that shows you who you should be talking to and when. Because as your company grows from just a little seed of an idea into a mature business, the type of money you need, it changes completely. Let's break down each stage. So in the very beginning, you don't have a product. You don't have any profits. All you really have is a vision. So who invests in a vision? Well, we call them the 3 Fs. Family, friends, and, fools. These are the people who are really just betting on you. They trust you, they believe in what you're trying to do, and they're willing to take that leap of faith when a professional investor just wouldn't. Okay, so once you've got maybe a basic prototype or a little bit of early interest from customers, you can start talking to business angels. These are often successful entrepreneurs who've been exactly where you are, and they provide something called smart money. It's not just a check, it's their experience, their contacts, their advice. They really help you turn a cool concept into an actual business. Now we're talking about pouring gasoline on the fire. You've got a product, you've got customers, and things are starting to work. This is where venture capitalists, or VCs, come in. They provide the rocket fuel to take you from a small flame to a raging fire. Their whole game is to help you scale incredibly fast so you can dominate your market. And the journey doesn't just stop with VCs. As a company gets even bigger and more mature, whole new doors start to open. You might get a strategic investor, like a huge corporation in your industry, or a private equity firm might step in to help you go global. And, of course, for many, the ultimate prize is an IPO, an initial public offering, where you start selling shares to the public. So we've met all the players, but how do they actually decide how much your company is worth, especially when it's just an idea on a piece of paper? It can seem like some kind of dark art, but it's not. It's just math. So let's pull back the curtain and see exactly how VCs put a price tag on a dream. This is it, right? This is the million-dollar question, or sometimes the billion-dollar question. How much is a company that might not make a single dollar of profit for years worth right now, today? Well, it's a mix of art and science, really. It's a calculated bet on the future. The very first step is to kind of dream a little bit. You and the investor work together to build a financial forecast, projecting out your sales for, say, the next 5 years. Of course, it's a guess, but it's an educated one. So in this example, the big goal is hitting $30 million in sales by year 5. That number is the anchor for everything else we're about to do. So how do you turn future sales into a future company value? You use a multiple, and that multiple is just based on what other similar companies are worth. In this case, they're using a 10x multiple. So you take that $30 million in sales, multiply it by 10, and boom, you have a future valuation of $300 million. A huge number, but we're not done yet. A $300 million company in 5 years sounds amazing, but an investor is writing you a check today. And a promise of money way down the road isn't the same as cash in your hand right now. So we need to sort of time travel. We've got to bring that massive future value back to the present. This whole process is called discounting to present value. And the easiest way to think about the discount rate is as a penalty for risk. The riskier the bet, the higher the penalty. And for a startup, let's be honest, the risk of failure is huge, so that rate is really steep. Here, it's 50%. This is how investors mathematically account for the very real chance they could lose everything. Okay, now you're going to see a formula, but don't let it scare you. It's much simpler than it looks. All we're doing is taking our future value, that $300 million, and we're dividing it by a number that represents both time and risk. It's just a fancy way of asking, given all the risks, what is that huge future prize worth to me today? And after all that, here's our number. That incredible $300 million company of the future is valued at $40 million today. That's a massive drop, right? It just shows you how much risk is priced into these deals. This $40 million is the present value, and that is the number everyone uses to negotiate. Okay, now that we have our magic number, that $40 million present value, the rest is actually just simple math. We can finally figure out the answer to the single most important question for any founder. How much of my company do I have to give away to get the money I need to grow? So let's just walk through it. It's really just 3 simple steps. Step 1, you need $4 million. Step 2, we just figured out the company is worth $40 million today. So step 3, you just calculate the equity. $4 million is what percent of 40 million? It's 10.1%. And that's it. For their $4 million, the investor gets a 10.1% piece of your company. And that's the roadmap. From that first check from your parents, all the way to the complex math of a VC, you now understand the founder's financial journey. It's not magic, it's just about having a plan. So take a look at your big idea. And now, look at this map. The only question left is, what's the right first step for your journey?